Hi there, I'm Mark from Brake Crafters, and today I'm going to go through this single-sided Honda caliper. Now first off, you're going to have to excuse me. I've had 4 cups of coffee, and this morning I woke up with an English accent, so you're just going to have to bear with me. This Honda caliper was used on so many different bikes from the early 80s, from 1981 up until about 1987. We're going to go through all the different aspects on it. So one of the first things I want to show you is all of the Honda calipers of this period were stamped with the diameter, which is the piston diameter. You can just see it here on the top end. Look for the arrow, and then just above it, there you go, you see it says 30. So that's a 30mm diameter piston, and they have 2 of them in this caliper. As I said, this caliper was used in many different forms, and it used 4 different piston sizes from 25.5, 27, 30mm and 32mm. So it's something that's well worth having a look at, especially if you bought the caliper off of eBay, or you got it from a breakers, or you've got it off a friend or something. You'll know the origin and what caliper it's likely to be from. So like I say, 30mm, and it will give you an indication. Now on this, there's also another point you can have a quick look at, just to double check that. I mean, obviously you can check it by fitting it, but you'll be able to see straight out of the box. There's another mark here. Now you can't really see this, but it actually says L, and that means it's a left. So if it's a left, it's a front left caliper. These calipers were used on both front and rears of many of the Honda bikes. So, as I say, just gives you a backdrop. Now, to get started, what I want to do is just show you some of the stuff that we're going to need. Obviously, 8mm spanner, possibly a 10mm spanner. You want to have a couple of sockets. Usually it's a 12mm for the banjo bolt, but sometimes you'll find it can also be a 14mm, depending on how original your machine is. So you want to have these to hand. Another thing that's useful is this, which is just a siphon pump. Really great, makes it a lot less mess to just drain all your fluid out of your calipers. And as I go through it, you'll see what we need. Usual stuff: brake cleaner and detergent. Now, detergent, you want to make sure is friendly to aluminum. So just check the back of the detergent that you use. Now, another thing that's useful is get yourself a tray and also some rags, because unfortunately doing brakes can be quite messy, and you don't want to get brake fluid on anything that you want to keep. Now here we have the shims. Now the shims are very important. It was a 4-foot length. I've cut it down into 4 inches, and it's 1.5 inch wide, and it's 1/8 in thickness. That's great, and you need about 6 pieces. Like I say, you get this down at Ace Hardware. It's about $10. Cut them up, and that'll work great. Now here with the caliper, before we start, what I want to do is just give the bike a good clean beforehand. Before you get into it, it just makes the job easier and nicer. Now you might see I've sort of jerry-rigged this here just to show it as an example. But what we want to do is, once you've got it clean, got it on the bench, we're going to start going through, because these calipers probably haven't been off for ages, so everything's going to be likely to seize up. So you see all the banjo bolt, you've got another 10mm, which is a clip retainer bolt, even the bleed nipple. What you want to do is just release them, and then just snug them up, just so that you know everything's free on that. To then bleed the brakes, as I say, use this siphon pump. This clip just goes straight over the bleed nipple. You don't have to worry about any bits and pieces on that. Just so nice and snug. Release it. And there we go. Just get that. And you see it's the fluid already just coming out straight. Now you want to make sure the cap's off the master cylinder, so it prevents any sort of vacuum being created in the master cylinder. And then the siphon pump, like I say, it just sucks all the fluid out. Makes it really easy. And you want to do this on both sides, obviously, if you've got a twin caliper setup. Now this is the real trick to getting your pistons out. It's applicable to any caliper rebuild, and if you ever use any sort of grips or anything like that, basically you will destroy the pistons. So the best way to do it is basically pump them out. Now I always connect them to the rear caliper. The hydraulic ratio on the rear gives you far better leverage, and it helps get any stuck pistons out. So I've just reconnected the front caliper to the rear brake line. I've got it all bled through, and then that just makes it a lot easier and clearer to sort of be able to do that. Now you can watch here. I'm just going to pump a little bit, and we can see the pistons beginning to push through. Okay, now you can see the one here at the rear is being a little bit lazier. These aren't coming out too bad, but you just want to check your brake fluid, make sure it doesn't run dry on that, and then you also will need the shims, and you can just place this into the caliper, because what you want to try and do is make sure that they all come out nice and evenly. As you can see, the piston here on the left is coming out further than the one on the right. Oh, there we go. Brake fluid. And as I said, you just want to make sure you keep that up. You don't want to have to bleed it through again. Get this topped up. There we go. Okay, so as I said, we'll get this pumped through. Now you can see that piston there on the right coming down now. And this is the game. What we want to try and do is keep both of the pistons coming out evenly as possible. Unfortunately, you don't quite know what the release point is. I mean, I can tell you with these, which is about 1/8, but you still want to get the pistons to come out nice and evenly. So we just remove some of the shims, pump it through. There we go. You see, as it goes on further, you'll actually start to get clear of the corrosion and also the elements that are actually keeping the pistons stuck. And it actually becomes a little bit easier, but as I say, you still want to keep it as even as possible all the way throughout. As I say, just simple steps. There we go. So we're coming up into the last shim now. Almost there on the point of wanting to be pumped out. Okay, we'll get that up, get the shim out, and this is pretty much as far as you've got now. There you go. You see that one there? Now that has already come past the pressure seal. The only thing that's holding that now is the guide seal. And what I want to try and do is just hold that one, just so we can apply that pressure to the other piston. Believe me, you really want to pump these out. It just makes it so much easier. I'm sorry my hand's in the way here, but there we go. We can just see that other piston has just popped out. You know it pops out because it'll go off at a slightly crooked angle. Okay, now the next stage is we want to get that drip tray. As I say, unfortunately this is a bit of a messy job, so we'll get the drip tray, place it in, and now just with your finger and thumb and a bit of wiggling, there we go. Boom, there's the first one out. Okay, there we go. Let's get the second one out. So we're not using any grips on this. If you use grips straight on the piston, you will damage it. You will destroy the piston. You should never use a piston that's done that. But if we see a later video, we can actually see about pitting and corrosion. So release now on that. There we go. Yeah, so you see all the fluid just dripping out. And this is the absolute best way for getting your pistons out. So it's not going to cause any damage. It's generally the easiest way to do it. I know it sounds sort of long and roundabout route of having to put them on the back. But yeah, look at all the crap in there. Yeah. This is what builds up. But at the end of the day, well, he's about 30 years old now. So, right, if we go on to the next video, we'll see about getting everything cleaned up and inspect the pistons. Okay, thank you very much.